Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives to the bedroom, to the boardroom. My name is Daniel Faust. Happy Election Day to all that is watching. Hopefully you got a chance to go over and vote, and that's all I need to say about that. So let's just stick to the content. All right, November is here, baby. Man, we're almost at the end of the year, aren't we? And what do we start thinking about after today? We're going to start thinking about some amazing things, right? We're going to start thinking of holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else. And in our 2020 world, our world has drastically rebooted. We can easily go towards the negative, right? It's just so simple. Jump on a news website, go over and get a conversation with somebody, go over and look at TV, including sometimes no matter what you're watching. But I'm going to say this, it is not on my watch that we need to be in negativity. I've already done enough of it. The rest of you don't need to go over and do that. So this month's theme, as we have each and every month, is being thankful. Now, Thanksgiving is coming, and I know you're like, yeah, typical theme. But we really need to truly reboot what we think of as being thankful. And what better place to go start that is in the bedroom, because that's our first week of the month each month. So we want to start in the bedroom. Because if you can't be thankful in the bedroom with the significant other that you're with, your spouse that you're supposed to be with for life, then how are we going to bring it out to the living room and into the boardroom? How are we going to be thankful for people that we don't have that deep connection of intimacy and sex and all those other things? That commitment. If we can't go over and do it with our most intimate person, then why are we going to go out and be thankful to others? It should be an outpouring from bedroom to boardroom, as we always talk about. It's a reboot. So what is being thankful? Let's jump into it. Oxford's dictionary, which I highly endorse because they stick to words and not stick to culture, is that being thankful is being pleased and relieved or expressing gratitude and relief. So I want to focus on thankfulness with gratitude. And I want to ask you the question, how do we do that? And I thought to myself, I've been thinking about this all day. That's what I do each and every day. I'm working in the military during the day, wrestling with this at night, and going over and how do we go over and be thankful in the bedroom specifically? Because we want to be an outpouring, right? When we go out to that boardroom, we want to be like the smiling commander, which is my commander right now, to go over and to pour that. If he wasn't thankful in the bedroom and in the living room, I'd probably have an angry, unthankful commander. And that's the same thing that we have as bosses. If we have a bad day in the bedroom and we're not being thankful on a regular basis, we're not going to be thankful in the living room, we're not going to be thankful in the boardroom. And if we're doing it, we put on a paper mache mask. And we talked about that last month. So if you love that type of content about taking off the mask, go to last month's content. So we'd love to connect. So how do we do that? Well, we got to know our spouse first to go over and see gratitude, because if we don't know them, we can't see and observe. If I don't know something about somebody, I can't be thankful for what they're going to do. If I'm not observant, I'm not conscious, I'm not aware, I'm not going to go see it, and I'm not going to be thankful. And it's the same thing for all of you, because we all are human. If we're not aware, we don't become aware, we don't do nothing with it, and we just are naive about it. So school is in session. So you thought you just got out of online school when you're watching this, you just jumped right in. So let's go jump into the lesson to go over and to talk about. And I have 10 questions for you and myself, because I'm always challenging myself. Here's my little handy dandy notebook, always writing on a regular basis. So 10 questions to ask yourself of what you know of your spouse. So, because when we know, and knowing leads to gratitude. Because if I'm aware of something and I realize I'm getting that service, that love, those things that are in front of me, I'm going to be led to gratitude. And we want you to go do the same. So sit back, but take out your mental notebooks and start going over and writing down these things so you can go over and take this knowledge when you leave today this episode of War Hero Superhero airing across multiple platforms like Facebook, EasyWay, and Roku to go over and so you can actually be a grateful person, and not just for Thanksgiving and not just for Christmas. We don't want 60 days of gratitude. We want 365 days of gratitude, 86,400 seconds a day of gratitude. Because when we really know what we're receiving and the gifts and the blessings, gratitude is a natural reaction. So let's go over and get some knowing done. So first question, what is their love language? Have you even heard of the love languages? The love languages are by Dr. Gary Chapman. It's 5 love languages. I'm going to summarize them real quick. There's physical touch. That one's obvious. It's usually not sexual, just so you know. Then you have words of affirmation, people that like to go hear words that uplift them, either in written form or verbally. Then you have acts of service, kind of like myself. If you go over and give me a free meal, I got a free meal by the Smiling Commander today. That's acts of service. And then you have quality time of spending time with somebody that you're doing something that you currently enjoy. And then there's gifts. Gifts is like going over and getting a new iPhone, getting a piece of clothing, going over and getting the new Oculus headset. This is the old one, of course. So when you know their love language, you can know how to go be grateful, because they could be serving you in this particular capacity in their love language. Or if they already know your love language, they might be serving you in your love language. You didn't even realize it. Some people it's going to be natural. Some people it's going to be a learned talent. But the thing is that it's important to go and do that. So once you know your love language, you might be realizing that you might be receiving some love and some great gifts because they know your love language. So what's their love language? That's number 1. Number 2, what is their personality style? If you have never watched any of these episodes, please go back. We talked about it several times. You can go through the disc or the bank code or whatever model you want to go over and use. But if you don't know the observable behavior of your spouse, I didn't know it for years. I had to get certified in 2 different models to learn this. So I'm not like a big guru. I just continue to study and get my doctorate degree of my spouse. When you understand the personality style of spouse, you might learn to be thankful for what they go over and display. Like my wife specifically, I am thankful that she's more conscientious and that she goes over and thinks of things all the way through. I think of things logistically when it comes to work, but when it comes to home ops, I'm like, she's like, Christmas? And I'm like, yeah, I know it's coming. Did you plan budget? And I can be irked at that. But the thing is that I now know to love on that, because it prepares me to be a good father and a good husband and a good now son, in the sense of my father-in-law living here. So I guess it's stepson. So if I understand that, then I can go over and be thankful. Number 3, what do they do during the day? Some of us go over and work out of the home. A lot of us are migrating in the home. Some of us are going over and be stay-at-home parents. Some of us might be a hybrid of stay-at-home and entrepreneur. What are they doing during the day? You might realize they might be doing a lot more things in the house, at work, or even for you and interceding for you for a long time. Like a lot of the maintenance requests, my wife goes over and intercedes for that. Eventually, she's going to be interceding for Veterans, which is a veteran transformation place that we're going to be working in, serving veterans. She's going to be the director of customer service. If I don't know what she's doing during the day, I can't go over and be thankful for those things. So what are they doing during the day? Number 4, how do they fill in the gaps to your life? We get married and we don't realize sometimes how many gaps that our spouse is going over and filling for us. They might be filling us for our character when we go over and do something wrong. They might be going over and filling in for things that you never thought of, and now they bring it to the table. They might be filling the gaps physically in things that they're doing for you in the home, outside the home, how you're represented with your kids and with the people you work with. Maybe they're doing stuff within the community that you wish that you could and can't. Maybe there's errands that they're going over and running that if you want to have a big home like I do with 4 kids, it'd be next to impossible. If my wife wasn't here, running all 4 kids on appointments, school and everything else, taking my father-in-law to appointments and everything else, there's no way I can handle it. So how do they go over and fill the gaps to your life? Next one, how do they serve you? There might be ways that they go over and serve you that you didn't even go over and realize. Like every single day between like 5 to 6:30, she goes over and serves me food. Now, personally, I'm not thankful for food, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to go over and get food. She goes over and does that. She serves me every day. Do you know this place is quiet? You guys are listening right now and you're like, yeah, it's a little echo, technology and everything else. But the long story short, you're not hearing kids screaming, you're not seeing the cat come in, you're not seeing my father-in-law coming in, like, whoops, whatever it is. You're not going over and seeing the chaos in here. This place is a safe place, and she keeps that boundary the majority of the time. Now we're human, we're faulty, one kid usually gets away. It's usually my oldest because he always wants to be in here. But the thing is that she continues to serve me in that regard, and the majority of the kids go over and do that. We'll talk about that next week when we talk about thankfulness in the living room. But how do they go over and serve you? That's another way to bring thankfulness to the bedroom. What times do they compromise? This one goes over, you might be in a heated argument or making a decision or going over and doing something. Maybe it's a financial, maybe it's a logistical thing, maybe it's a bedroom thing, maybe it's watching stuff on the TV or going over and listening to a debate or going out on the fly. What times do they go over and compromise? Because that's a sacrifice, and we should be thankful when they go over and compromise. It's not easy to go over and compromise, especially with a guy like me. Ooh, I'm intense. You think it's like, he's nice, he's sweet. No, I'm intense. I am like, all the time. And she compromises so often in that regard. So what times do they go over and compromise? We want to be thankful and verbally express that because they don't have to. Number 7, name a time that you were hurting. Where were they, and how did they comfort you? You've probably gone through life, you probably lost some loved ones, or lost a job, or had a bad day, or you do what I do on certain days, like way back in the day would be the ranting person. Where were they? How did they comfort you? Did they just go leave you alone? Most spouses, if you're still married to this day, do not go over and leave you. They go over and they're usually with you, walking through the things mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. And how did they go over and comfort you? Remind them that you're watching, that you're observing, that you're realizing that they're, and that's going to bring your thankfulness and your gratitude up is when you think of that. Because it's probably a lot of times that they were there and you didn't process that. Did they go over and give you space when you needed space? Did they allow you to go play that video game? Did they allow you to go hunting for the weekend? Did they allow you to work the extra hours to compensate for the loss? If you were financially hurting, did they go over and step up? My wife stepped up. We were financially hurting, almost homeless. She stepped up and she worked 2 jobs with me. Did she have to go and do that? No. No spouse has to. Doesn't even matter if everything's collapsing. People make choices. There's been seasons that my wife has gone over and sold things. I didn't even go over and ask, and she went over and did that. And she went over and comforted me when I've had rough times and everything else. So think of a time, name a time that you were hurting. Where were you and how did they comfort you? Number 8, what do your kids think of you? So you adults that are married and going over and having kids, no matter if it's a blended family or if it's a traditional family or if they're adult kids, what do they go over and think of you? Do you know values are caught, not usually taught? And you usually don't go over and you're not the mouthpiece for yourself. It's what you display and what your spouse goes over and portrays when you're not around. They could go over and make you look like I've met a lot of divorced people, and then it's like it's toxicity. Mom becomes this, dad becomes this. It becomes a fighting match. My wife keeps things unified and goes over and we stay on the same page in that regard. It wasn't always that way, but the thing is that we were at least unified as a front as parents of backing each other up and being backstops. And I don't allow my kids to speak ill of my wife, and she doesn't do that either. So what do your kids think of you? Because if your kids think positive and great, like my daughter the other night, Hope says like, you're the best daddy ever. And I'm like, she's very thankful for things. I need to learn that lesson, but where did that come from? It's more likely from my wife. Number 9, how do they see you? Like, how does your spouse go over and see you? You could be very thankful for that because they could go over and see you in a negative light in that particular regard. And yes, if your marriage is on the rocks and everything else, we totally understand that they might not see you. But The average marriage, the person sees the best of you, and they choose to, because we have a lot of suck that comes with us all, including myself. And you go over and it's like, I did 7 years of suck. I was a constantly verbally toxic, ranting dad that just went off the handle, felt things emotionally, did things emotionally, and everything else. She doesn't see that. Why? I should be thankful she doesn't go over and see me for the worst of the worst, and she sees me for the best of the best. So I need to be thankful for that. And last, number 10, are they still here? So if you're watching this and your spouse is in the other room or watching with you or going over and maybe at work or whatever, and they come home and they're mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and socially, even if they're physically here, because sometimes you can have rough patches, they might just be physically here, still in the house. Are they still here? We live in a world that divorce is like that. You can instantaneously get divorced as low as $300. I don't encourage it. I want you to have legacy for the marriage and that. But if they're still here in the battle with you, we need to be thankful. It might not be the best. It might be probably the worst season in your life. But if you read the book, The Meaning of Marriage, and I can't remember the author right now, Timothy something. But basically, he's a pastor and he's been studying marriage, and he's been a marriage counselor for 30 years, and it's been statistically proven that you could be in the worst of your marriage right now. You could be on the brink. You could have stuff thrown everywhere, holes in the wall, just verbally chewing somebody else. 5 years after the worst of the worst, through time in therapy or consulting or whatever, prayer, wherever it's going, and then consistent work, your marriage can be significantly, if not infinitesimally better than it was the 5 years ago. I can attest to that. In year 7, it sucked. Sucks not even the right word for it. There's so many cuss words, I don't even need to say it, but it was, and the majority of it was me. And she still stayed there. And your spouse might be on the brink and on the edge, but they're still there. They're still fighting. Even if they have a mustard seed of faith fighting, we need to be thankful for that. So our superhero challenge for you guys today on the first day of being thankful, ironically during election day, I did not go over and plan that specifically. All I planned was the theme about being thankful in the bedroom, is your homework to start working on your doctorate degree in your spouse is to reflect on one of these questions and share your thankfulness to them in a way that they will hear it. So that means you're probably going to have to learn question 1 about the love language and question 2 about the personality stuff, because if you say it in your way, that's not showing thankfulness. True thankfulness is showing a gratitude in the way that they see its gratitude. So reflect on one of these questions, or maybe a deeper question that it triggered. I just want to go over and always make this a dialogue for everybody. It might not be always engaging on the comments and everything else, but even if it is an internal dialogue for yourself, for transformation, then I did my job well. So I thank you all for joining. Again, War Hero to Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. And if you're suffering in the bedroom right now, connect with us. We give a 20-minute consultation to every single military veteran, first responder, first time. Connect with us on Facebook, connect with us through our website. My direct number is on my Facebook page, so you can go over and text that. And if you're wanting to take your marriage to the next level and not just be thankful, but going over and being that marriage superhero, go hit patreon.com/thrive-not-survive for as low as $5. You can go over and start that journey. We want you to be transformed. So, all right, so we're going to let you go. Hope you have a good day. Thank you for going over and joining us, and we will see you on the next episode of War Hero Series. Thank you. Bye.